Welcome to the Why Not podcast, hosted by Chrissy and Yvonne. In a world where everyone asks why, we're here to ask, why not?
Hey everyone, my name is Yvonne and I'm 29. I'm a body positive feminist yoga teacher. Been on this journey of self-discovery for the last few years, really just learning how to take better care of myself, fill my life with self-love, and just learning how to be kind and gentle to others along the way. I'm really interested in all things mental health and personal development.
Hi, my name's Chrissy. I'm a personal trainer, gym enthusiast, and part-time equestrian. My goal here is to help people feel better about themselves by helping them strengthen their mindset and their body image. And I want them to be able to do things that they never thought they could believe possible. So if that sounds like something you want to do, I want to help you.
Good morning, Chrissy.
Good morning, Yvonne. How are you?
I'm actually pretty tired.
Yeah, you were up at silly times sending me voice notes.
Yeah, I had the last 2 nights I've had really weird sleeps. I think it's just because everything going on, my brain is just like on overdrive. So
Yeah.
I keep waking up at like 2, 3 a.m. and then I get up and have tea and watch Netflix and then I go back to bed.
Oh, you actually get up.
Yeah, I'd be trying to sleep for ages and I just can't. So I get up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just angrily toss and turn when I can't sleep.
I feel like I get really stressed when I do that and I feel better when I just get up.
I definitely do feel really like, as I said, angrily. But I'm just like, no, it is my bedtime. I'm staying in bed.
Yeah, that's good. It's probably better because at least you're like resting and you're like in the dark. There's probably some sense of rest. Whereas I'm like, let's watch Big Mouth.
That's a good one to watch.
It's my new favorite thing. It's actually hilarious.
Have you only started watching it?
Yeah, I didn't watch it until now. It's so funny.
It's so good.
I feel like I wish this was the thing. This is a segue that I didn't mean to make, and I'm really proud of it.
It
I
actually, yeah,
wish this was around when I was a young teenager. I would have watched it, and it's actually very informative.
it is actually, funnily enough, while being hilarious.
It's like really relatable.
Actually, the second episode of the first series is actually perfect to describe about what you want to talk about today.
I can't remember what happens in it. Obviously, something about periods.
Yeah, it's Thing's first one.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that brings us nicely into today's topic. Today, I'm going to say we want to talk about, but to be honest, it's more I want to talk about periods.
Yep, it is mostly you.
I kind of just want to talk about it because I think it's just important that it is talked about for the most part. I also find them fascinating, interesting. I find the whole thing kind of cool, and also a bit terrifying. I just think it's important to be talked about and that it's out there.
Yeah, and while I don't discourage talking about it or have no issues with it, I don't think it should be hidden from the public. It's not some weird thing, but I just think, from a
It
very
does
literal
make me
sense.
feel,
Yeah, and from a very literal sense, they're just,
yeah, like now, obviously, we're not saying periods are gross because they're absolutely not. There's nothing gross about periods.
They
Um,
physically are gross.
huh?
They are physically gross.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I don't think they're physically gross. Now, like, oh, I do and I don't. I do in the sense that I actually get like woozy by the sight of blood. So I that part may like honestly like just seeing blood makes me like blood. And but that could be coming from any part of my body or anyone else's body. It's
That
not.
must make every month really awkward.
Yeah, oh, it's terrible. Really, really bad. Like sometimes I have to like close my eyes and stuff because like sometimes it's worse than others. It's always worse when I actually feel bad, like if I've cramps or like I actually feel sick on like the first day or something, and then I see the blood. I'm like,
sometimes I gag. I don't know, like I just blood freaks me out. But genuinely, like if I was bleeding lots from like my arm, it would be the same situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and
Whereas, like,
specifically since huh?
I'm actually the opposite. Like, if I saw myself bleeding from my arm, I'd be like, oh, whereas this, I'm just like, no reaction. I'm like, oh, this always happens.
I don't know, it's just blood. Blood makes me weird. And it didn't really
Yeah.
used to. I got more fainty and like weird as I grew up. So blood is a bit weirder for me now. Even like blood on TV and stuff, I'm like, oh,
Oh, yeah, no, anything graphic or anything like that, I actually can't look at.
really?
Peter started rewatching The Walking Dead recently, and it's
Yeah.
so gory that
Mm.
I can't look at the screen when he's watching it. Like, I've started eating my dinner in our bedroom if he's watching it because I can't do both.
No, it's fair.
And he's like, "You're right." I'm like, "Yeah, no. I just literally, you keep watching that, but I'm going in the other room." It's so gory. It's raw.
It's yeah, blood is yeah, it's not cool. But I don't think periods are gross. And I think there is like period stigma, you know?
Definitely is.
Like even the fact that like I feel now, I definitely would not feel this now. But when I was a teenager, like I would have been embarrassed to go buy myself a box of tampons. Like
Yeah, I get you.
I really would have. Like I would have felt like shame, which is ridiculous because like we all get it. Well, most of us get it. No, sorry, half of us get it.
Only half us?
Periods, yeah. Like half the people.
Oh, yeah. I was like, half women only get them. Is it that high that people have problems with them?
Well, I'd imagine there's lots of women who don't get periods.
Well, obviously, if they're past menopause, they don't, and they're before puberty. But like, other than that, I'd say the percentage who do get it is quite high. But also, there is a probably high enough percentage of ones that don't or have issues with it.
Yeah. Don't really know the percentages, to be honest.
No, I don't either. Because again, this is not something I research or have much interest in.
The thing I find mostly interesting about it is like the cycle. Like
Mm.
now this is there's people who know like loads about this and I'd love to know more. It's something that I'd actually really like to look into. But like, you know, your different like phases of your cycle are almost like the four seasons, you know? And I just love that women are so in tune with nature, like that we have that cycle all the time. It's like day and night, or like summer to winter, you know, that's happening all the time in our bodies. I just think that's amazing. Like, I honestly think that's amazing. The more you know and the more you're like in tune with it, the more you start to notice it. Like, I notice it in my life now because I track it and because I'm interested in it, like I will see the patterns. Like there's always a day that I'm like, okay, I'm 100% ovulating. Like I can literally feel it. Like I can feel that my temperature is higher. I feel like I look sexy. I'm like, yeah, look at me. I look hot today. Totally like I know the day. And I feel like I know the day that estrogen has already hit its peak and then it's starting to go back down. I
Yeah.
feel like that I'm just literally all of a sudden I'm just a little bit more quiet. I don't really want to like engage with people as much and I'll see that like and it'll get more and more until I have my period and then I'm back to the start again. It's just I just find it fascinating like
One thing I have found very interesting is I did find out in relation to training, in regards to your cycle, there are parts of different training styles that actually suit you better as a woman. So, like, I think at the start of your cycle, it's now I could be wrong because I can't remember this and I haven't looked it up. Strength training is best for you because you're at your strongest. And then
so cool.
after like the estrogen peak and stuff like that, you have to be a bit more careful because of the hormone kind of starting your period and all. you can be more prone to injury, and the likes of like hit training and stuff like that is better for you and stuff like that. There's something like that, and there is actual specific times of the month that different training styles are better for women because of the cycle, which is actually quite interesting. I find that part quite interesting.
I think that's fascinating. Like, I think that is so cool.
Yeah, and you're depending on your cycle as well. You're more prone to injury at certain parts. But I think it's after the ovulation and it's more closer to your period time. That's when you're more prone to injury. But again, I could be wrong because I have forgotten, and I have looked it up and I've heard about it a few times, but I
Yeah.
have forgotten the exacts of it. So if I get this wrong, I apologize in advance. I didn't prepare because I only thought of it now because I was like, periods.
That's okay. Don't worry. I don't know all the stuff either. Like, I just know like my own cycle, my own experience. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's so cool, and I think it's so important to talk about. And I just wish it was more of like a normal conversation. Like, it wasn't just like something that we had to like do you remember in school and stuff, like you used to, if you had to go to the bathroom to like change your tampon or something, you'd like hide your tampon up your sleeve.
No,
Do you not remember that in school?
no.
I used to like, if I had to go to the bathroom like in class, oh my God, and I'd be like, oh gee, maybe it was just me, but I used to like open it so quietly in the bathroom because I'd be afraid like someone would hear me like opening my tampon.
I'd
Like,
definitely be a bit like that, opening the packaging and stuff like that. If I knew I was in a public setting in general, yeah, it is kind of like, oh, you don't need to hear that. You don't need to know.
it's not so much of an issue anymore now because I have my moon cup, which is a silent experience. Which, by the way, it's actually not always that silent, but generally, you know, if you put a moon cup in the morning, you're not going to need to change it until like you go to bed that night.
Yeah.
I am going to put it out there. I have converted people into the moon cup. Please, if you're out there and you're wondering what period products to use next, get a menstrual cup. They are so good. They're the least gross period product you will ever have.
Yeah.
I know you don't believe me. I know you don't, but honestly, I'm telling you now, I feel like even you could be converted. I won't
No.
push it. It's your vagina. But like honestly, they're so like neat and tidy. I love it. I just feel like any other period product I've ever used, there's like a cleanup. But this is just it's just the best. Now, for me who is a little bit woozy about blood, you have to see the blood a lot, like because it's in a little cup and you have to like pour it into the toilet, which is like I do not like that part. I've heard of many people who actually really do like that they can see the blood and they can like see what it's like. I don't like it. It's so great. You don't need to think about it. There's never leakage. Never.
I believe you.
Well, there's not. I swear to God, literally never. I just put it in the morning and I don't think about it then for the whole day.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, Yvonne.
I'm sure plenty of people will be converted to this. If you are listening and you think it's a good idea, Yvonne will sell you it. But unfortunately, it's not going to work for me.
That's okay. They do take some getting used to as well. They are a bit strange, but once you've got the system down, they're so great. And it's like
Yeah,
€30 for your whole life. Like one product. It's so good.
that is also good. I will
It
give you
is.
that.
And it's environmentally friendly and all that stuff. But like honestly, like yes, the environmentally friendly stuff is definitely that's what made me buy it in the first place, was because I was like, okay, this is less wasteful. But like, apart from that, like the actual ease of use is why I love it. It's just the best ever.
Yeah.
My friend actually bought me a moon cup sterilizer so that I don't have to keep sterilizing my moon cup in like pots in my house, which I used to do. And I used to like, it's fine now that I live with Mark, but like before I lived with Mark, hello Kotzi, if you're listening. Like
So I'm going to defend you on that side.
I boil my moon cup in. Well, that's the thing. Like I boiled it in a pot. The pot was boiling, so obviously anything in it is sterile. I boiled it for 15 minutes, which is what you're meant to do. And then I would wash the pot with like soap after. It's grand, like, and I would dry
Yeah.
it and I'd put it away. But I did used to have to wait until everyone left the house, not because I have any issue with it, because I genuinely don't. But if Kotzi came home and I was boiling my menstrual cup in a pot that we all used, I fear he would kill me. And I used to try and think of things that I could say that it was. Be like, what could I say this is that like I could get away with? But I never came up with something. But he never caught me, so it's okay.
Weird thing is that lads probably be like, you could probably say that's entic. You could be like, it's something for makeup, and they'd be like, okay.
Ah, that
Like,
would
they
have been
really
good.
know what they look like.
Exactly, like. But you know, because it was a period product, it's like, ugh. But it's not. It's just a piece of silicone. It's fine.
It's great.
But now I have my very own little device just to sterilize my moon cup, and it's actually really fucking cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. It only takes a few seconds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so fun.
So fun.
It steams it.
I realize I forget that you just have an obsession with cleaning. They're like, it's so fun.
It is so fun. It's like a little egg, and you put the moon cup in and you press a button and you put like a teaspoon of water in, and then it steams it and you can hear it going like tss. It's very cool. Mm. See, moon cups are fun.
You're not going to sell me on the cleaning product you got for your moon cup.
Would you ever use like a reusable pad?
I don't know.
Like, you know, the ones that you like wash?
I've started seeing that, but I also feel like that would be a bit minging, because what if it didn't all wash out?
I've seen them before. Actually, this time last year when I was in Spain in that like eco retreat.
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously everyone was very eco-friendly. There was a girl who had them, and she obviously had her period while we were there. So I saw them like in the shower every day. So she would obviously like wash them in the shower and then leave them to dry. Yeah, I know, but like the thing is, when you're in a little retreat like that, you just gotta get personal, because you like, you know, what can you do? It was everything was just on display. You know, there was one toilet, but like one of the toilets was just literally a toilet seat over a bucket in the forest. Like there was no walls or anything. Like it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. I liked it, but I mean, it tested me. Like, you know, taking a
I'd say it
piss in the wilderness around other people, just like 'cause people be like walking by, you'd be sitting on the toilet and you're just like, hey, like we tried to like have a bit of privacy, but like it you know, didn't always happen. But anyway, so yeah, like her little pads would be dry in the shower, but like they're very clean, like they seem fine. Now I didn't get personal to them, but like they seemed alright.
Yeah, it's literally from a hygiene perspective, not because I'd be like, oh God, I used that before. It's more like, would it wash out right? And then like, do they start to stain? Because then that's kind of
I'd say they would stain.
yeah.
Like, you know when you stain your knickers, like they're kind of gone.
Top tip: use dark knickers for your period. No.
Yeah,
Not that
I've
anyone's
destroyed
inspecting the
many a
inside
pair.
of your knickers.
What?
Not that anyone's inspecting the inside of your knickers when you're not around.
Probably not, no. But you know,
I
like
should
you
hope
have
not.
your
Like,
period pants. Like I have period pants even now.
oh yeah,
Even though if you wear a moon cup, you will
here we
never
go
have a
again.
period stain ever again. Genuinely. I would wear white pants with my moon cup.
That's always a very brave thing to wear anything white during that time.
I know, and I used to not know that. Like they don't teach you that.
Mine was just a general fear of knowing the color red on white.
Mm. Do you have any like crazy period stories?
I do not.
I
Don't
have
think so.
one. It's not
I don't,
really a period story, but it's an interesting one.
I'm trying to think now, because I don't actually register stuff like that because, again,
You're like burned from my memory.
come on, what's yours?
I don't know if I told you this before. Can't remember. I used to have a system when I was a young teenager for my period. So I used to be afraid, like, oh, poor young Yvonne. I used to be afraid, like, so I'd have like, when you start your period, like, you don't really use tampons, you just use pads. Well, I did anyway.
Mm.
I would obviously like be asleep with a pad on, and I would be afraid if I took that off for even like a second that like I would just pee blood on the floor. Like I didn't really understand how it worked. So I used to like first thing in the morning, I would like keep my knickers on that I was asleep in, get dressed into my school uniform, and then go to the bathroom and then change my knickers and pad. Okay, this was my system.
Okay.
And my dad would always be like pottering around the house. So I wouldn't want to walk out of like Jesus, like why did I even care? But I didn't want to walk out of the bathroom holding a pair of knickers because he'd be like, why are you holding your knickers? But so I used to tuck them in to my skirt or put them in my pocket, I think.
Yeah.
And then I would go back to my room and like take them out of my pocket or whatever. So I was in school once and I obviously forgot to take them back out of my pocket. And I was going to my locker and like I took my keys out of my pocket to like open my locker in school and my knickers fell out. And they were like blood-stained period knickers.
Oh
And
no.
it was, I don't think anyone noticed. I'm trying to remember, like, but I was like traumatized. And like for the whole day, I was like, "Do not open your pocket! Do not open your pocket!" Like I was terrified that like, I like knew they were in there.
Burning a hole in your side the whole day.
I was like traumatized that someone saw them, but like as if that even matters. Like, why would that be a big deal? It shouldn't be, but like it felt like it really was.
Well, school as well, like
Oh God, it's all.
everything is like 10 times worse in school. You're like, oh my God, the whole world is gonna
Yeah.
know. There's gonna be a rumor going around that Yvonne
I
keeps
know.
period knickers in her.
Yvonne is addicted to period pants and she carries them around in her pockets all day.
It'd
It's
be
so
some
funny.
crazy thing your like teenage mind would cook up, and then no one probably saw it and no one knew unless you told anyone.
I know, but still, like, if embarrassing things happened in school, like, literally people would destroy you.
Oh,
Like,
definitely.
anyway, so there was this time in school, and I was sitting with someone, and they had a highlighter pen, and they like flicked it. I don't actually even know. Like they were like talking, and they like gestured with their hand, you know.
Yeah.
And the ink like was like obviously real like watery, and it like came out of the highlighter and like got me in the face. It was like pink highlighter, and so I had like pink highlighter all over my face. And like we laughed for like a minute because it was funny, but then I was like, oh my God, no, I actually have highlighter all over my face though. And like I went to the bathroom and I rubbed it off or whatever. But
Yeah.
then I was so embarrassed that I had sat in class for a few minutes with highlighter on my face. I guarantee you nobody even knew except me and this person because we were laughing about it. I was so embarrassed. And like the way we used to like go home at
Lunchtime.
lunch and like yeah, we could come back for second half. Like I didn't go back in after lunch because I was so embarrassed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like traumatized by the highlighter. I was so traumatized that I mitched off school.
Oh, it is crazy those little things that you just blow up when you're a child. Like now you just be like, hey, let's draw the rest of my face.
I know. Right now, like if I walked around for a whole day with highlighter on my face, I would not even think. Like I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's great.
Honestly,
I'd be the same. I'd be like, whatever.
I know. Like, but it's the oh God, those things
I
were.
know you learn to laugh at yourself so people can't keep going. You're like,
I know. And honestly, like this is actually good if there's anyone listening who's a child or a young adult, um, or a teenager. Anyone
probably
really.
shouldn't be listening to us if you're a child.
Yeah, maybe not. But if you happen to be. Like honestly, when you get older, these things really do get easier. You don't care so much about what people think of you. I was thinking this the other day randomly when I was on the bus, and I don't know how this came into my brain, and I'm not sure how it's just come back right now. But like, I was like, life is like so much easier now. Like, okay, there's lots of tough things going on, but imagine this happening when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
It would have been so hard.
Oh, you would have just lost your will.
I mean, it is really hard now, and there's like obviously now I've more responsibility. I have to like think about paying my rent and all those things. So like obviously there's that anxiety that I wouldn't have had when I was a teenager.
Mm.
But I don't know, like I just oh it's just like I think to be honest, you just get more like self-assured when you're older, don't you? You're just like more confident in who you are.
Yeah. And you always read about that, and people are like, and you're kind of like, nah. And then you actually get older, and you're like, ah, yeah, I don't give a shite. They were right.
It's so true. Like even now, being able to talk for half an hour about periods, like I wouldn't have in my wildest dreams done that when I was 15.
Oh, yeah, Jesus, that thing, like, I didn't know that word. Someone said that word, I cringed.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
See, totally, I'm like, yeah.
I don't think I did. I don't think I did, but no, I wouldn't have cringed, but I would have talked about it with like friends or whatever, and that would have been fine, or like my mom. But like I wouldn't have wanted to talk about it with like a random person or like a boy. I would hate like a guy to know. Like
Mm.
as if they don't already know. Oh, do you remember in school oh, this was so cruel. People used to like take pads and like stick them to people's bags.
Did they?
Yeah. Do you not remember that?
No.
I don't think it ever
I
happened
obviously
to me.
didn't move with the cool kids who did pranks like that.
Oh, I wasn't cool. But yeah, oh, I remember seeing that a few times. Such
Yeah.
a waste as well, such a waste of a good pad.
Yeah. It never got to fulfill its full potential.
No, it didn't. It just got to stick to someone's bag and be like, oh, school. They were the tough times.
They were the what?
They were the tough times.
They were the tough times. Every time you mention it about school, I'm like, I kind of like struggle back to remember anything because I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've just blocked all of school out of my head because I hated it.
Yeah, I also really I think I started to like school maybe in like fourth year.
Mm.
But I think that's because I kind of came out of my shell a little bit more. Like first
Yeah.
to third year, I despised school.
Yeah.
Like I really hated it. Like
Oh, I continued to hate it until I left.
I did, yeah. Do you know what? Like I hated it when I was young. Sorry, I'm yawning. I think I liked it for like maybe fourth and fifth year because I kind of came out of my
Mm.
shell. I made new friends, and I think fourth year was really good for me. I know some
Yeah.
people like it's just another year, but I think for me, like because there was loads of extracurricular things and I actually got involved in them, they were things that suited me, like they were creative things, whereas the extracurricular stuff just used to be sports. And
Mm.
I'm just not sporty, so I don't know, I never got involved in anything in school. But yeah, in fourth year it was like drama, musicals, dance, like there was yoga, there was just more stuff that kind of like suited my personality. So I think I got a bit more confidence then. Then I was Anne Frank, obviously. My claim to
Yeah.
fame forever. Best
I was a
thing
stage hand.
ever. Yeah, then I think in fifth year I was just, I'd come out of my shell a little bit. But then in sixth year, I think I started to hate it
Yeah.
again. Because I think our year was actually quite bitchy, like
Yeah, definitely. Now I wasn't involved in any of those groups, thankfully, so I didn't have to deal with any of that shit.
I feel like I did. Like I felt like in fourth year, like the friends I'd kind of made and stuff, like I feel like by the time we'd gotten to sixth year, we weren't friends anymore. It had become really clicky again.
Okay.
And I wasn't really into that, obviously. And also then I got my heart broken in sixth year. And I remember I will never forget the pain of that, like genuine heartbreak.
Oh God.
Yeah. I won't mention any names, but
I think I
yeah.
know who you're talking about.
Genuinely broke my heart to pieces. I'd never dealt with something like that. Like
That's hard when you're that age. Like,
Oh, I just did not have the skills to cope, like, because I was just like full on in love with someone who was just not in love with me, and I was heartbroken. And then obviously had to do my leaving cert and all that, whilst feeling that was not easy.
fabulous.
Fabulous, but anyway.
I had a boyfriend from outside school at that point.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like the cool people had boyfriends that we didn't know.
He did exist. He used to come with his car sometimes to pick me up from school.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. I think he was mitching off school at the time, but it still counts.
In sixth year, I had a boyfriend for a while who was in college. So like he was the year ahead of me, but then we broke up and I was with someone then from my
You had a college boyfriend. Mm.
super cool.
Right. Shall we leave it there?
I think we shall. We actually ended up talking more about school than periods, I feel.
Well, only the last 10 minutes, I think. There was a good 20 minutes of period talk for you.
Yay! All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we are delighted to hear from you guys. So if you ever have any comments or suggestions or anything, you're always welcome to get in touch. Probably send you Chrissy's way for that because I'm still on my little social media hiatus.
You'll find me anyway on Instagram at Chrissy H Fitness and also on TikTok. I am back on TikTok, living my life, and I'm Chrissy H Fit on TikTok.
Will you send me your videos on TikTok via WhatsApp? Because I don't want to rejoin TikTok, but I'd like to see your videos. They made me laugh. I like them.
Good. Yes, I will send someone. I've gone down TikTok holes again, so like you'll probably get other videos too.
Oh, that's okay. I enjoyed your last one that you sent. Wait, was that you? Yes, it was you.
Yeah.
We won't talk about what it is.
Can't remember what it is.
Oh, I remember.
Also, this episode was not sponsored by Moon Cups, whatever it may think, but if they do want to sponsor us, fine.
If Moon Cup decides to sponsor us, Chrissy will try the Moon Cup.
I cannot confirm or deny that will happen.
Well, I'll definitely do it.
You already tried them, it doesn't count.
I know, and I already have one, and I don't want a new one.
Okay, well then we won't be sponsored by Moon Cup.
Fine. Be sponsored by Tampax. Stupid, unenvironmentally friendly Tampax.
Okay, before you get angry and on another rant, we're going to leave it there.
Okay. We will talk to you guys next.
Thank you again for listening to the Why Not podcast. Because remember, in a world where everybody asks why, we're here to ask why not.